Hi, welcome back to GTC 2025. My name is Scott Shadley. I'm the Director of Leadership Narratives and our Evangelist. I'm here this afternoon with Chloe from ARM. Would you like to give us a quick introduction, Chloe?
Sure, Scott. So my name is Chloe Ma, and I'm the VP of Go-to-Market for ARM's IoT line of business. It might sound a little strange, why is an IoT person coming to talk about storage and infrastructure? So how ARM divides our business is, IoT really is a catch-all line of business. For anything that's not infrastructure, not automotive, and not client, the mobile phones and PCs, everything else falls in IoT. So we not only have actually connectivity and smart vision and smart audio, we also own storage as an embedded application. So storage is really a big business for
Very cool.
IoT.
So you kind of have the kitchen sink,
Yes,
if you will. So
yes,
I love
yes.
it. Internet of Things, it covers a lot of different things. So from that point, you were mentioning the storage, but we're at GTC. It's all about AI. So what's unique about this event for ARM?
Yeah, so the transitions in AI have been going on for a while, but it's more pronounced at this GTC. And the transitions that I'm talking about in AI, so first is from compute to system. So when you hear Jensen talk, he doesn't just talk about the GPU, he talks about the interconnect and the storage and everything. And for AI to really run efficiently, it really needs to be optimized at the system level. And the second big transition is from training to inference, because training itself actually doesn't really bring value. Like when we go to school, right?
Yeah.
We only
do a lot of
pay.
learning.
That's right. And we only are getting back to the community when we start working, and that's inference time. And as you could see, here in Jensen's keynote, and he's really transitioning to talk about, why the GPU system is great for inferencing.
Right.
And the other thing is from cloud to edge, because AI inference is really going to happen everywhere. And when we think about autonomous vehicles and robots and etc., these devices cannot wait for that inference to go back to the cloud and come back. And last but not least, I call it mental to physical.
Okay.
It's really actually, some people call it from digital to physical, but I feel like that digital transformation has happened already.
Yeah.
So when ChatGPT first came out, I think we all got into a panic because, we are informational IT workers and we think, and the more we think, the more money we make, right? And our line of work actually might be impacted by AI first. Across all these AI transitions, ARM is really positioned very well because our root is in smartphones and embedded devices and IoT, but we're expanding our footprint to servers and also to AI PC, and we're working very closely with NVIDIA across all these spectrum. So we're really excited about all these transitions and waiting to reap the benefits.
Can you give us a little bit more on what that ecosystem's like and how it's driving the change in AI?
Yeah, I actually have been thinking about ecosystem a lot because, NVIDIA has such a dominant position in AI. And that's not just because of the GPU hardware, but also because of the CUDA ecosystem.
Right.
And when we talk about ecosystem at ARM, I think first and foremost, I think about Android, the mobile, because that's what we're famous for.
Right.
And for the two dominant mobile ecosystem, iOS and Android, I think ARM is positioned really well. And not only the ecosystem, but also the millions of apps that are developed on top of these mobile ecosystem. And that's what formed a very, very strong ecosystem. And ecosystem really takes time.
Yes.
Like Jensen said, CUDA is now going into so many spaces, for communication and for scientific computing and etc. And everything, it takes a lot of people, a lot of your partners, and a long time to actually build that foundation. And that's actually what makes the ARM ecosystem very strong. Because historically, we are really embedded in everything.
Yeah.
And we popped out in mobile and made progress in server and now PC, Windows on ARM, and etc. And that takes the ecosystem of developers. We have 20 million ARM developers worldwide,
Quite a few.
one
Yeah.
of the biggest. And so you can easily find people who are familiar with ARM development.
Okay.
And you can leverage all these development, if they already optimize on AI, and you can leverage that in storage and in networking and everything.
As you well know, Solidigm is the leader currently in capacity-based storage
Indeed,
drives,
indeed.
going in a lot of these different servers. So just a little bit from that perspective, we see the benefit and value of being a part of the ARM ecosystem as well, because we're putting our products in the platforms you're enabling that all go into supporting AI as we know it, let alone just things here at GTC. So how do you see that relationship between ARM and Solidigm?
Yeah, so I want to explain a little bit of how ARM fits into a storage SSD drive.
Absolutely.
So basically, in the SSD drive, you have the flash media, and that's really your
Our bread and butter.
expertise, your bread and butter. But you also need to have an SSD controller,
right.
And that controller is the interface between compute and the storage media. So in that controller, there are potentially multiple ARM CPUs, but they can also be combined into one. So functional-wise, we have one, we call it the front end, that deal with, how do I talk to the compute, and when they issue the command to retrieve some data, how do I respond to that?
Right.
And we call that, the FTL, the flash translation layer. And then you also have the backend that need to deal with the flash media, and you need to manage the media and, get the data out really fast. And so that's all done within, the CPUs provided by ARM, and you write your secret sauce firmware.
Inside
and
those.
Right now, I think with AI, there are just like a lot of new innovations in terms of how I want to retrieve that data and store that data. And because so many new data are being generated by AI, it's actually, you need to kind of balance the writing and the reading. So when these new protocols are being created, then you want to actually very easily update your firmware. And so ARM really provides a very easy way for you to do that. Because of storage being so real time and you want to be really deterministic, so normally, I think in Solidigm SSD controllers, you use the ARM Cortex-R real-time CPUs. So that really guarantees the response time and everything. But, down the road, if you want to make your drives smarter, for example, we see people doing, they're analyzing the read-write and the data to minimize write amplification in SSD drives. And so that, you can actually use machine learning algorithms to do that. And if you want to add, AI accelerator within your SSD drive, we can do that.
Where can we find you, find ARM? Where's the best resources we can look for?
The more traditional way is to go to arm.com. But I feel like I get a lot of information just by following ARM on LinkedIn and on X.